Three, two.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
And I did what I had to do to win, but somebody wouldn't let us win.
We got one!
Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. Trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
Hey guys, welcome back to License to View. This is a weekly pop culture podcast on the internet where two best friends get together to talk about pop culture stuff. I'm talking about movies, TV, anime, video games, comic books, manga, action figures, pro wrestling, all that stuff. I'm Jason, that's Zach. What is going on, man?
Oh, hot, humid, weekend night. My dates are all messed up now. Not too much crazy stuff going on. So I think you talked about this a while back, but I finally got around to watching it. So I watched the Netflix mini docuseries they did on Murder Among the Mormons.
Oh, yeah.
This was I didn't really know the story behind it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know about the bombing or anything like that. And I definitely didn't know about like any of the forgery shit.
Yeah, neither did I.
So that was like super interesting. I think this was the one. I think because when we talked about the Night Stalker one, we mostly talked about how that one was told through like the perspective of the cops.
Yeah.
And this one I liked. You had like the people that were there and whatnot, but I liked that a lot of the segues that they had was, especially since it took place story-wise in like it was like mid or late 80s or something like that. I'm pretty sure, right?
I believe so.
So a lot of it was like segues and like segments from like local news and TV news and stuff like that. They had a lot of that like coverage sprinkled in, which makes sense because that would be like a fucking huge local news story, whatever that was happening. So I like that bit about it. I mean, the story overall is like completely interesting with like,
Oh yeah.
guy like spending his whole life like forging and like making up history for like the Mormon church.
It's honestly like it's weirder than like serial killers.
Yeah.
Like serial killers are like, I'll mention this later, or I'll mention it after you're done talking about this. But like, you listen to like a story or a docuseries about like the Night Stalker stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, we understand why he probably was fucked up. Like, we understand kind of why. Like, obviously there's probably other reasons, just was born that way, but also we understand the factors that made him shitty. You know what I mean? Like his cousin and all that kind of stuff, right? But with this, it's like he's not a psychopath.
No, there's not really like, at least, I don't know, at least they didn't get into the doc where there's not like his parents were like nice to him, like his dad was really supportive of him.
It's the most crazy white collar crime.
Yeah.
Where it's like the white collar crime involves religion and then also it turns into the murder.
Yeah.
And
it's also
crazy.
like the craziest shit is that it's that, and then it's like how much he was like willing to talk about like everything. Like, I mean, you've already watched it, but like basically the whole third episode is like basically excerpts from his interview after he was arrested, where he basically goes through his process of like, yeah, like I decided to fake people because like I could do it and I knew I was good at it and I liked like getting it over on people and I knew that I was like smarter than them if I was able to do it, and it also made them look really dumb. And then he just talked about the fact that he's like, yeah, I just decided to blow him up because, like, I couldn't deal with the debt. And, like, he was, like, breathing down my neck. So I was like, you got to go.
Well, it's like
like the cold, like, calculated way he, like, thinks about it. Like, he doesn't even, like, care. Even, like, after it's happened.
Well, it's like the pure narcissist of it,
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird the difference of like this him being a killer and then like another like a traditional serial killer, where it's
Yeah.
kind of like, okay, well your reasoning was purely out of self-preservation.
Yeah.
There was no like, you know, he didn't get satisfaction out of like, he
No.
got satisfaction out of duping people and being smarter than them
Yeah, for him it was more about the fraud. The killings was more of like
to
a
keep
way for him to try to continue being able
frauding.
to fraud people. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I did like the docu series like is told through his former friends and also
Yeah.
his former friends who were also victims.
That's like
Or except for that one
biggest.
guy. That
Yeah,
one
that
guy's
one
like,
guy.
mm,
That was like that's the biggest interview that they got with him. I mean, he starts off the whole docuseries where he's
yeah,
just basically like, "Don't ask me about that" or whatever, and then you're trying to. I don't even know what he was. I kind of forgot about it, and then they basically hit on the question again, which is them asking him if he was like a true genius forger for like doing what he's able to do, and he's
yeah,
like, "Don't ask me that." And
yeah.
I was like, "Damn, dude,
Well, the answer is
that still
yes.
hurts him. Like this day, it's been like 40 years since that happened. It still fucking hurts
Yeah.
him to talk about this.
Or you're just trying to save face for the TV.
Possibly.
You know.
Also, that craziest shit was like when the after he like blew himself up, and the guy basically was like, "Yeah, with my consecrated." First of all, homie's walking around with consecrated oil all the time.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not a Mormon, so I don't understand
Yeah,
it. But
yeah,
that
yeah.
shit's like, I don't know. I don't know many people that just walk around. He's like, "Yeah, I have holy oil with me," and I just like
Yeah, I
splashed
mean,
it on him.
I'm
And I was
sure
like,
it's
"You're gonna
probably.
live."
I'm sure it's probably like.
Some sort of religious
Well,
aspect. To that.
clearly it's a Mormon thing, but I'm assuming that like in Salt Lake it's like, well, you grab your keys, your wallet, your cell phone, your oils,
Yeah,
and then you're fine.
your consecrated oil, and then
It's
you're
probably
good to
like,
go.
you know, the equivalent of like my mom and her family. You know, they're Catholics. Like, okay, you grab your keys, wallet, in your rosary,
Yeah, that's
or you
true.
know, keep rosary near you, your little whatever.
Hmm.
So maybe it's like that. I assume.
Yeah, it's possible. Um, so yeah, I watched that and finished that. It was a lot shorter than I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be the typical one where it's like 4 or 5 episodes, but it was only three. And I mean, three worked for it. I think it told a really complete. Unlike comparing it to like the Cecil Hotel, where that definitely could have been like two, and they stretched it out a lot further. I think that they did like the perfect amount to like tell the story and get all the angles and the aspects that you needed to get from it.
I'll tell you one. Something that I watched a couple weeks ago. Just didn't mention it because I forgot.
Hmm.
Peacock has. They did a John Wayne Gacy one.
Okay.
And I think it's like 5 or 6 episodes, or maybe even more. I can't remember.
Is it hour length?
Like, yeah, I think it's like 44 minutes. I think
Okay.
it's too long. It's really well made, and the whole point of the docuseries is that they, right before, I guess in the 90s or something or whatever, they actually interviewed him, right? So they have a whole interview that they just never used. So they're cutting to the story of him and the killings, but then also cutting to him later, like explaining them and like him like defending himself or whatever, the kind of thing, you know.
Right.
And it's a really well made documentary, and it's really really interesting. I haven't really looked into him a lot. He's not my favorite
Yeah, I haven't
killer.
looked at him outside of last podcast, really.
Yeah, and this was like, it really shows how creepy he was, and like you think that he's like a creepy kid. I'll say this, dude. It's really well made, so I think you should watch this. I think you really like it.
Okay.
But there's a part in it, and I don't know how you feel about this stuff. Listening to true crime, or listening to last podcast, or listening to like whatever, or watching docuseries. There has never been a time where I've agreed with a serial killer a statement. And in this docuseries, or in this interview from the 90s or whatever, he's being interviewed by a former FBI agent, I think, who worked his case, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point where he says, they're mentioning how, like, you know, clowns have become, after him, like, because of him,
Become
clowns
terrifying.
have become
Yeah.
terrifying. And he's like, that's messed up because clowns were always a source of joy. Like, like the art of clowning was like a good thing. He really liked clowning. It made him feel better, you know. And like, you know, clowns in general are not bad. And I was like, yeah, like I agree with John Wayne fucking Gacy about this statement. Like I absolutely agree.
I mean, I've always been terrified of clowns, so I can't say that I'd probably
Yeah,
ever
but
offend
you're a
him.
product of what the media create. He says in the docuseries the media
It's
created this
possible.
clown thing, and it's like
It's
yeah,
mostly Stephen King's fault, so probably.
and Stephen King guaranteed was like, oh, watch this on TV. He's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
here we go, you know.
Here we go. It's my next villain for my next book that's way too fucking long.
Yeah, where kids decide to have an orgy, but
Yeah.
it's really well made. And but there's a couple episodes that are like kind of I think about him, and towards
Hmm.
the end it's kind of like okay, this is too much.
Yeah.
It's a little too long, but they go through, and I didn't know this because I forgot about this part of the story for him. It's not a
Hmm.
spoiler or anything, but we all know he
His
bare.
political career.
No, I knew that. That's
Oh.
super interesting. It's
Yeah.
it's not interesting as John Jones's,
Hmm.
but it's sort of interesting. But it's not as interesting as John Jones to me because to me that's like we just like ignored all his buddies in San Francisco. we just
Yeah.
they're just around hanging out. We just forgot. Oh yeah, whatever, you know. But
Yeah.
obviously John Wayne Gacy's friends were also very famous, you know.
Yeah.
But no, we knew that he buried them in his under his house,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right? But I never knew that they were actual caverns. Like he made like caverns under his house, like
Like he
walkways.
actually dug a cave.
Well, he didn't dig them. He made these two guys dig them. And the
Oh.
part of the docu series is like, well, these two guys they did this. Though they had to know what was going because there's no way that he could get down there because he was too fat, right?
Right.
So they had to be helping him, and then parts of the episodes are like trying to explore like who these two guys were that they had obviously gay relations with him and all kind of stuff. So there was a weird thing going on with the three of them.
Okay.
But they show like they show insides of it after like the news where the cops are kind of explaining it.
Hmm.
But they show the caverns and they show like the drawing of the caverns and it's like, dude, like they destroyed the entire house because they just don't they have like all the caverns are there. It ends up almost being like a fucking H. Holmes type thing, you
Oh
know?
yeah, that shit. Oh.
And it was so interesting 'cause I just never seen it before.
Yeah, I never heard about that. Like, yeah, because I've definitely heard about the fact that yeah, he like he hit all the bodies and like cupboards in his basement. But yeah, I mean, especially with like the amount of people that he killed, it makes more sense that he would actually have to make like a separate like cave or cavern to like hold all the
Yeah,
bodies.
they would they created like a crawl space
Yeah.
and they would like shovel out and dig out areas and then they would cement it and like like
Jesus.
lime it all this kind of stuff. And then he like drew it on a map to show the cops like every body location, all this kind of thing, whatever. And it was like, and it's so creepy. And it's not even creepy because he's not a creepy guy. Like at least on the in the videos, he's so like narcissistic or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he is, it's part of his ability. It was his ability to obviously to be super fucking
Yeah.
like cordial and like comforting.
Hmm.
There's a part where like apparently when they suspected that he was the guy doing it, these bunch of cops would tail him all the time, and they knew that he knew they were tailing him. Where he would eventually they would go get drinks with him. He would come into the car and be like, "Hey, you want to get a beer?" And the cops were like, "Yeah." And they would go inside to the bar and get a beer with their fucking primary suspect. And I'm just like, dude. And
Well, that's like
also,
the Ed Kemper shit, where it was like, because it was like with Ed Kemper, old Bumblebutt. It was
Yeah.
like he would go to the bar and be talking about like the murders with all the
office
cops.
buddies, yeah,
Yeah, all his cop buddies, because he would go to the same bar as
yeah,
them. And he would just talk to them about all the murders and like figure out like everything that they knew, and they would
yeah,
just spill their guts to like
yeah.
the primary suspect, even though he wasn't the primary suspect at the time. But
Well, no, it was funny because in this is like they interview the cops who do it. Like they're part of the story. Like
mhm.
they're important cops, part of the story. And like they don't ever mention it again. They just mention it like as though it's his ability to be like super controlling of like of energy or a vibe or whatever it's called. And
Right.
they don't ever mention like yeah this could have fucked up our investigation. Like they never mention it. Um,
Damn.
it's really well made. I think it's called like I can't remember what it's called like John Wayne Gacy something a murderer or monster or something. It's Peacock. It just came out, so if you looked it up, you will
Okay.
find it super easy.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in checking something like that for sure.
I think you like it.
So I watched that. Invincible season 1 finale aired yesterday. From what I remember, it basically ended at the end of the first omnibus that you let me borrow all so many years ago, which is basically, I mean, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but it's the fight between him and Omni-Man. Is basically like the first 40 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
It's a long fight and it drags out quite a bit, and it's some of the most brutal shit I've ever seen animated, which is nice. I mean, it's all like, I mean, it's him and his dad fighting, and then his dad like knocks him into Chicago, and the aftermath of him crashing into Chicago basically kills like 100 people like that. And then his dad takes him down to the subway and holds him in front of a subway, and he basically carves through an entire subway's worth of people, which is like fucking brutal as shit. I was watching that. I was like, God. Even now, I was like talking to, because a bunch of the guys at my work we were all watching it together, and I was just like talking to them about it today, and I was like, that subway scene like still fucking sticks out in my mind. I don't remember something like that from the comics specifically, but like the way that was animated, like that shit still sticks out. Like that is a poignant.
I say the one thing, what I like about Invincible, and again, I've mentioned this before, is that I
Yeah.
haven't finished it, so I can't comment on it as a whole.
Yeah.
But for the first 50 issues I have read, that I vaguely remember, yeah, I know I read enough Robert Kirkman to feel this way, is that he writes this really great superhero story that is super brutal and turns the idea of superheroes, like it converts, it changes the perspective of the superhero story. It makes it super duper what we think is awesome about Invincible.
Yeah.
And it's the same reason that people really enjoy The Boys.
Yeah.
But the difference is that Robert Kirkman loves superheroes and Garth Ennis hates superheroes.
Yeah.
So like, even though it's super duper brutal, we know that Mark in general is not a bad guy. So I want to read him, right? But I don't think that anyone in The Boys is a good character because they're not. So I don't want to read them. But they have the same, they have the same kind of, like, it's brutal. It's like it takes the idea, it flips it. Superheroes can be bad. The idea of Superman, like the kind of character turning Omni-Man, is the same thing as like Mark Waid's Irredeemable. I think he had 2 series.
I haven't read that one.
So Mark Waid had 2 series going on. They're sister series. It was about the Superman who becomes evil and destroys the planet, pretty much. And then the other series is about a super villain who becomes a good guy to like try to save the world from.
Interesting.
I believe is what it is. I think it's Irredeemable and Unstoppable or something to that effect.
Interesting.
But that's why I think people are really liking Invincible, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, and I think definitely in like the season finale as a whole, I definitely think you get more of that reverence that is in Robert Kirkman's writing for superheroes, specifically with like, I mean, it's the episode is like a perfect capper for the season, and it's when I remembered like the Invincible show as airing, I was like, this would be like the perfect moment, which is like him fighting against Omni-Man, because it's such a turning point, not only for like him as a character, but like for the universe as a whole, because it's like turning point for him, because it's like his father figure, he's seen as like an idol, and is like somebody who's like, I mean, his whole journey of being a superhero up to this point is to be like his dad, and then to find out his dad is like basically a fucking supervillain is I mean, obviously like the hugest turning point for him, and then for the whole world. I mean, he's Superman, and then the world basically sees that like he'll destroy like anybody and anything that like gets in his way.
Yeah.
Causing a fucking avalanche that like destroys an entire ski town at one point. Because like he doesn't give a fuck. Because he's a Viltrumite, and all they do is conquer and destroy.
They're Saiyans.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's. I didn't even think about that, but they're like.
Saiyans.
Because I was thinking like if it was a whole entire Superman planet that goes bad, and it's no, it's
it's Planet
they
Vegeta.
Are raised on Earth like Goku was.
Yeah,
like just all a planet full of Vegetas.
It's Planet Vegeta, and their job is to take over planets. Just that, they were doing it secretively versus like in your face. Or at least that was his goal for Earth, was like, eventually take it over. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
they touched on that point in the season finale too, where it was like basically there was too many planets for the Viltrumites to like go out and destroy them like as a whole, and so they basically like just give each Viltrumite a planet, and it was like, okay, you're gonna destroy this planet from the inside out and weaken it for us so that we can take control.
Yeah.
And then the very last bit of the season is him meeting up with, I don't remember what the name of the character is, but he's voiced by Seth Rogen. It's the one-eyed alien that shows back up.
Oh yeah.
And it's like him going through his mental facilities of like, okay, this is like probably like one of the lowest points I could ever be in. I'm pretty sure it gets lower from here from what I remember.
I mean, he gets raped.
Yeah, so there.
Yeah.
But for right now, he's like, this is probably one of the lowest points I've ever been in. So it's like his mental turnaround at the end of the episode of like, okay, I can move past from here. I can try to be like a better hero for the world that I live in, for like the people that I care about and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was a really poignant note to lead the season off on. And they did a lot of teases for a lot of stuff that they're clearly going to talk about in season 2. Like they talked about the crime boss that he essentially made with the guy who can turn to stone. They bringed up the starfish aliens that are basically like fucking Skrulls. They like can transform into people and like take over their minds and that kind of shit. Bunch of different aliens that show up, different supervillains that appeared. So they're definitely like teasing for plans ahead with season 2, which I'm happy about. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's definitely got. There are moments where you can definitely tell season-wide as a whole that I'm not sure what company was doing it, but whoever was doing it, they were clearly like either constrained by the time that they had to create the show or the amount of money that they were able to use to create the show. There's definitely like visible shortcuts that I've seen, especially from like watching so much fucking anime. You can just fucking tell when like shortcuts are being made. But I think overall they were able to like use the limitations that they were given and were able to make like a fairly decent product.
Right.
I'm very impressed with it for the most part, especially for like Western animation. So I'm overall very happy with it.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I probably won't watch it for a while.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty quick. I mean it's only like 8. I mean it's the Amazon thing, so they're not super long with their stuff. It's only like 8 episodes. I think the best part about it is that even though it's 8, I mean they're like hour long, which for animation is like
that's awesome.
Pretty rare.
Yeah, I know Mark. I know him and Eve break up or have a baby, then get together, then break up.
This is my gripe with this first season, because this first season, him and Eve are not together, because obviously they don't get to till later. But like, his first girlfriend is this chick named what is her name? It's
I have no idea.
I don't care. Her name's not fucking important because she's a terrible fucking character.
Right.
She's some fucking bitch who's like the social justice, woke, feminist, all that kind of shit. That is like fine, but she's also like a terrible fucking character for Mark because she's just not very supportive of like anything.
Is she
like
in the
episode
comic?
Before this? Huh?
Is she in the comic?
I don't remember her from the comic.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember that either.
But she's also just like not supportive of Mark like as a person. Like in her writing, like the episode before this is like the couple episodes before this, they went on like a college trip. Like him, this girl, and his best friend. I can't remember his friend's name either. But they basically went to the college trip, and during it, they get attacked by some monsters that some guy was creating. So he basically like goes to like do a quick transform into Invincible to like help save them. And then he comes back as like a normal human, like doing the Superman thing. And she basically is like, "You're a son of a bitch. Like you fucking left us. Like what the fuck is wrong with you?" And I was like, first of all, even like if he wasn't a superhero, which you don't know that he is, what the fuck do you expect him to do? Like, I mean, he said I went to go like call campus police and stuff like that and try to get help. And I was like, what else do you want him to do besides that? You just want him to like run in front of you and get fucking killed?
Oh, they make her black in this.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but
Amber.
Amber. That's that fucking bitch.
She's totally white in the comic book. I completely forgot about
Is
that
she?
character.
I couldn't even remember her from the comic book. But I just like every time she's on screen, I'm like, get the fuck off my screen. But then in the episode after that, he basically like comes out to her that he's invincible, and she's like, yeah, I knew, but it's not gonna change anything. And I was like, first of all, bitch, if you fucking knew, why are you acting like he's a terrible person when you know that he's like doing this stuff and he's being a superhero? And she's like, I don't fucking
Literally,
care.
what you're talking about, I was trying to Google her name, and there's
Yeah.
literally a post on the Invincible subreddit saying, here's an explanation for Amber, and it's people arguing about why, if she should have been mad at Mark or vice versa. Like
Fuck
literally,
her.
literally it's
Fuck
a
her,
whole
dude.
thread.
Yeah, it should be a post because fuck that character. She's so fucking awfully written.
I don't even remember.
Like it's so
her.
bad. Like I just want him to be with Adam Eve because like clearly she's the best for him and they're
Well,
great
I mean,
together.
I know that they have a kid, and then
Yeah.
or she has an abortion.
I know they have a family at some point because
Yeah, I know she has an abortion at some point, and I know that he goes away on some mission for a long time, like a couple times, and I know that he gets raped by another alien girl,
Huh.
like in a field or something.
Damn.
Because she has to, like, I guess they have to repopulate alien or whatever. It's like, I guess, and then he has another kid, but he can't keep the kid, so it's I can't this is all stuff I just remember from like going to the comic book shop and people were talking about it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm over here reading something else right now. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah, but I mean overall, besides her, the show's good. So I did that. Let's see. It's really only one other thing that I really watched. And I'm pretty sure you watched it too. At least you said you were gonna watch it. I don't know if you actually got the time to watch it yet or not.
I didn't know.
Okay, well I did watch Without Remorse, the new Tom Clancy movie. Michael B. Jordan. Overall, it's a fine movie. I didn't hate it too much. I know that you talked a lot about because you read the original book and you talked a lot about the original plot and from the trailer, but from what you described and from the synopsis of I've read, because I actually want to read the original book now because I actually like his character quite a bit.
You should.
Even from this movie.
You should.
And yeah, I mean, it's completely different. Like, his wife's not a prostitute. She's like a regular person. And it's all based around this. I don't know. I feel like, especially with like, from what you described and what the original book is, it feels like more like a generic spy thriller plot than the like taking down of like a drug ring to like avenge the death of like your fallen wife. This one is more like his wife gets killed. I don't know. I mean, I guess you don't really care about spoilers when it comes to this
not for something that not for an action movie, because the action's what I care about.
Yeah,
but also
I mean, people do care. Spoiler warning, because I mean, the movie just literally came out like yesterday, but but it's all based
nothing here's gonna be whoa, oh my god.
But but it's all based around so his wife doesn't get killed, but it's all part of a Russian like I can't. It's like FTC or FBC. I can't remember. It's one of those that's like that kind of like I think they're like a paramilitary group or something like that in the Russian military, and it's also like they think that it's revenge for an op that opens up the movie in Syria where they ended up trying to save the CIA operative, and they ended up figuring out that it's supposed to be like a terrorist safe house, and they ended up figuring out that it's like a Russian arms base. And they think that like this big time like Russian arms dealer, like terrorist kind of character was killed by them during this raid. And so John's whole old Navy SEAL team, except for him and his commander, who is I guess a woman in this, because I guess she's a man in the books. Greer is a woman in the movie though. But except for him and Greer, they're the only ones.
This is the black lady who's like his age.
Yeah, it's the black lady. That's Greer. Yeah.
Fuck off.
So so there's that, and so it's all about him getting revenge, trying to get this guy who he thinks ordered the hit on his wife. But then you get there and you figure out that actually the guy is also like a deep cover CIA operative, and it was all part of the machinations of Guy Pearce, who is the Secretary of Defense, because he wants to start a secondary Cold War, and honestly, he's a bad guy, but like I kind of agreed with his reasoning, even though it's like the generic spy thriller reasoning, but he's like, America's always better when we have an outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, you're kind of right.
No, that's always right. Yeah, that's right for everybody.
You're kind of right. Like, I get it. Like, you shouldn't fuck with John Clark, obviously, but like, I get where you're coming from. Like, you know, World War I, World War II, Cold War. That's like America at its best, baby.
I'm so sick and tired of screenwriters who take something that's already fantastic, like bestseller.
Yeah.
The dude wrote the book. He was rich when he wrote it. He got even richer when he published it. Like, it for sure is a fantastic novel, right? If you like Tom Clancy. If you don't like Tom Clancy's writing, you're gonna fucking hate it, right? But it's 200 pages of build-up for revenge to begin. Like, it's 200 pages of like of him. Like, the first like 150 pages, bro, is not action. It is him, like,
it's just him with his wife.
It's him, his first wife. John, look, man.
Oh, so wait, hold on. So his first, because I saw that where his first wife died in a car accident. That's also in that book.
Yes. So Clark,
with his first wife and
Clark's,
kid or whatever?
Look, Clark's life is complicated.
I can tell from his brief synopsis in a bio that his life is pretty fucked up.
So his wife, she dies. He meets this runaway prostitute girl. He doesn't marry her, but he has relations with her. She kind of brings him out. He's in depression, living on his boat, right? It's like kind of like just like tucked away from the world. She brings him out of his shell again, like lets him learn to love life, kind of. And they're only together for a brief time. So it's not like they're in love, right? But I believe she gets pregnant, or at least the signs are there. And he kind of gets her clean, like whatever. They come back to find her. They fuck him up. They kill her, and I think in turn kills the baby, obviously. So he's in the hospital for like pages and just like sitting there, and he's being interrogated by these cops, these Baltimore PD detectives, about what happened. He's like, nothing happened. Here's what happened, right? What'd you see? I didn't see anything. In his mind, I saw everything. Like, I know exactly who these motherfuckers are, and the cops are Jack Ryan's dad, right? Jack Ryan's the other.
I saw that. Yeah, is Emmett Ryan or something like that? It's like his dad. Yeah.
Yes. So
this takes place like years before Jack Ryan.
Yeah, John Clark is probably, 20 years older than Jack Ryan, maybe.
I read it, and then they do the stinger tease at the end that I guess he's the guy who founds Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
Which is dope, and I guess that's because I know they're already making sequels for this, so I think the next sequel is going to be like a Rainbow movie.
Terrible idea.
It's not a good idea?
Not to do it this soon. Let him do some fucking jobs first, dude.
Honestly, I felt disheartened because I thought the stinger teaser was going to be, because they have Jack Ryan already, so I thought John Krasinski was going to show up.
The moment you said that Jim Greer was a girl, it's a very different universe. Because Jim Greer, they already have Jim Greer in the Jack Ryan show.
Oh wait, is that the black guy?
Wendell Pierce, who again, based on the books, Jim Greer.
Well, that's stupid. How is it in different universe when you own both the prop? That's so dumb.
Because Amazon didn't own the rights. Didn't own the rights to Without Remorse. They bought them for releasing.
Oh.
But they own the rights for Jack Ryan.
For Jack Ryan.
So, and then after he gets out of the hospital, it's the Punisher.
Right.
It's not a military spy movie. There's CIA stuff happening, right, on the B story, but the A story is like the Punisher with investigation and like him stalking these guys, like learning how they work to go kill them all in brutal fashion, right? And the B story is the CIA being like, hey, we know you did a bunch of work for us in Vietnam, and we would like you to come do some jobs for us. So he's not even a spy yet. He was just a SEAL.
They just wanted to be like a wet work guy.
They wanted to go be an assassin, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm kind of busy right now.
That was the thing. Also, that there's that moment because he gets arrested at one point because he kills the Russian ambassador or whatever. So they send him to jail. And he has like a monologue with Greer that felt, when I heard it, it felt out of place because he basically talks about like all the messaging in it. I don't know if this is pulled from the books or not, but it sounded like messaging that you would say like if you'd been through the Vietnam War. But the movie takes place in modern times. Like it's like Syria and like you know like modern day like the counterterrorism war and that kind of shit. But he has this whole speech that sounds like something that fucking Rambo would say, which feels weird, time wise.
You didn't let us win, huh? You didn't let us kind of win this time.
Yeah, well, he's like. He's like, we did all this dirty work over there, and then we come back, and nobody respects us for the things that we did. He was like, I thought I did all the work over there so that I could come back and have like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like, like a Rambo speech, and I was like, this feels like very out of place for a guy who like is going through like Afghanistan like level warfare. Like nobody's against the war at Afghanistan like they were against the war in Vietnam.
Yeah, no, none of his characters from my memory and all the books that he's in, he loves being an assassin.
Yeah,
like he doesn't love killing people, but he loves defending America.
Yeah,
right. And he has no qualms about killing people. Jack Ryan's supposed to be the moral character. John Clark's like, I'll kill you dead. Like I'll do what I gotta do. And he loves the people he loves, you know. But and without Remorse, the novel, he is like. It's about him. He's trying to avoid getting caught by the police like all the time.
Right.
Like it's about Emmett Ryan is constantly like I know this dude's up to fucking something.
Yeah.
Like in the end of the novel, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but he has to break the law to get away, right? Because his name is not John Clark all the time. But what's his name in the movie? It's always been John Clark.
What's his name when he takes over Rainbow? Is that John Kelly?
John Kelly's his first name.
Then he's John Kelly most of the movie. And then
he becomes John Clark.
He becomes John Clark at the end. Yeah, basically after the plot's over, he becomes John Clark.
How does he become John Clark? Why does he change his name?
Because he becomes John Clark because he's basically still a felon at that point because he killed that ambassador. Like even when he goes on the mission for the CIA, Guy Pearce is basically like, once you're done with this, you're going back in jail because like you're still a felon. And so it's basically the CIA guy who he thought was dirty and ends up being like the clean motherfucker who ends up becoming the new director of the CIA after this. Basically is able to give him the new ID so he can like become a ghost and like start a new life. So he gives them the name John Clark.
No, in the book he fakes his own death with the help of Emmett Ryan.
He does fake his death.
He fakes his, I think it's on his boat. His boat explodes or something.
He fakes his death. He makes it. He basically fakes his death that he died with the Secretary of Defense, basically.
Oh, okay. No, and I'm pretty sure in the novel, I've read it in a while, but I think he tells the CIA like, "Hey, yeah, I'll work with you, but I have one thing you guys might want to know."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What's up?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm killing people right now."
I'm killing people.
Can you guys like ignore that? And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." Okay.
We're the CIA. We don't give a
I
fuck.
don't give a shit. Or like they like he's like either like, "Hey, one thing, I need help with this." He's like, "Okay, all right, let's do this."
Yeah.
You know, I had it's so with Jack Ryan. There's so many things that they could just take and adapt, and it would be perfectly fine. And there are things that they could change that were good changes. Like Jack Ryan's character is not an action star. He is in the show, and that's fine. Like Jack Ryan's not that kind of character. John Clark is that character.
I saw he becomes the president at one point.
He becomes the president.
Yeah.
Right. And at this point in time in the Jack Ryan verse, you know, his sons are doing spy stuff. You know, John Clark's his co-commander, his co-leader, whatever you want to call him, and Rainbow marries his daughter. So they have a family, and then Jack Ryan has he has nephews who are also spies and so it's like this big universe of like spy stuff. And when Tom Clancy died, because if you ever read a Tom Clancy novel, Without Remorse is the one that does not fit this mold. They're super researched, super detailed, and that's why they call them. They're like they're neo thriller, neo. What do they call John Crichton's novels? I forget what they're called.
John Crichton.
Oh, Michael Crichton. Sorry, Michael Crichton's novels. There's that word they always use for him.
I don't know.
Where it's like it's like futuristic perspectives of science and techno thrillers.
Techno thrillers.
So like that's why Tom Clancy's novels are considered techno thrillers, because they're super duper researched about nuclear physics and bombs.
It's like I just typed techno thriller and Michael Crichton and Tom Clancy were the two
because he did so much research about like whose country has bombs, what kind of bombs do they have, what will this bomb do. Like if you read some of All Fears about nuclear warfare, and it's a fucking math problem. The entire book, it's just fucking. It's like, oh my god, dude, write a fucking. It's the fucking Wheel of Time, but with fucking spies. You know what I mean? It's like all this like extra shit. Without Remorse, it's not that. Yeah. It's bare bones revenge story, right? But you could take those things and make a really cool story. But when he died, the writers who write him now, his books, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to write spy thrillers. So they're very much what this movie would be now, which people really like. My dad, who's a huge Tom Clancy fan, isn't a big fan of it. If you like reading fast-paced spy,
your dad would probably hate this movie.
He's not gonna like it. He's not gonna. He'll watch it. He's gonna watch it for sure, because he watches Jack Ryan. And he's like,
not 100% on board.
He watches them because he thinks they're fine TV, but he knows that it's not the adaptation that he wanted. Like the Chris Pine one. Like, jeez Louise.
Oh yeah, that one was like, what is it,
Shadow Recruit or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like in like.
Is the Harrison Ford ones like the closest so far?
Yes, and those aren't good, and those aren't good.
Yeah,
like in Patriot games, that his age is probably a little bit older than he actually is in the book, by probably about 15 years. But he's like 35. He's a professor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like John Krasinski's Jack Ryan is like a doctor in, in money.
Yeah.
And he used to work on Wall Street and all these private companies, but now he works at the CIA. But he's like 30 something. Yo. Yeah. Sorry, too young. His wife to be, Kathy, is like a fucking doctor specialist in infectious diseases, but she's like 33 years old. Yo. You're still in residency. Yeah. Now you're out here fucking finding cures for fucking influenzas. Eat dicks. You know what I mean? So like Tom Clancy didn't like pretend to make these guys superheroes. Like the opening scene, I'll stop talking in a second about this, but the opening scene to Patriot games is about Jack Ryan stopping the IRA. That's how old the book is. Like he's in England for some speech or vacation or something. Like he's doing some ceremony, I believe, as a professor. And the IRA is trying to kidnap some royalty. And Jack Ryan's like, yo, fuck that shit, dude. And he like drops like 3 guys, right?
Yeah.
And then he has to go to court and like be interrogated by his cops about why the fuck he did it. And he's like, they're like, why do you know how to shoot? He's like, I'm an American. And
I'm American,
2, I was a Marine. And 3, my dad was a fucking cop. So like, yeah, I know how to shoot a gun, right? And they're like, so why did you shoot to kill them? He's like,
first of all, I'm an American.
He's like, so why did you shoot to kill them? And he's like, because why else would I shoot them? Like, what do you...
Yeah, you don't shoot... This is the other shit, dude. You don't shoot to fucking hit somebody in the fucking leg or the fucking arm or to shoot the gun out of their fucking hand. You shoot them to kill them.
So the opening scene to Patriot games is like, you get the feeling, you learn that Jack Ryan, in this scene, like, he's capable, but the entire time he's not like confident. He's like hoping that he can get the job done to protect his kids who are here or whatever, these people. Yeah. And then in the post parts where he's being interrogated, he's like, I didn't know. I was just hoping. I was just hoping that my shots would make it. You know what I mean? Whereas like John Clark's like, no, I shot them. I killed them. I knew I was going to do it. That's a different type of character. But the character Jack Ryan in the show is like, yeah, I pull a pin on the grenade and I held the grenade. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let it go, bitch. If you don't want to die, you better fucking leave, and then we'll see what happens. That's Jack Ryan in the show. Like it's not. It's very different. He's fucking Indiana Jones. More in the book. He's Indiana Jones, but with money and history.
Yeah.
So
I dig it. All right. Yeah, but that was that's it for what I've been checking out. Jason, what you been checking out?
I got a couple things on my list. Let me get some water real quick.
Yeah, man.
First thing I got going on. 1970. A Hong Kong kung fu movie, very massive influence, called The Chinese Boxer. And it's a very famous Hong Kong kung fu movie. It's one of my favorites from this era, Shaw Brothers era. Shaw Brothers was one of the big production companies of kung fu films. Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest are the big two, obviously. But Chinese Boxer is about a guy who is a Chinese man.
And a boxer?
Not really. I mean,
well, that's a misleading
it's
title.
one of those things that came out when they translated it. They're like, okay, well, sounds cool. But so it's about a bunch of karate Japanese. It's a very nationalist movie, and it was a big inspiration, I believe, for Bruce Lee, like Fist of Fury and stuff. But so it's about him being a Chinese guy, kung fu guy, and a bunch of Japanese guys come in and kill his whole dojo. Right? For some reason, I can't remember what the reason was.
God damn.
Kung fu story. So they come in, they beat his master up.
Kung fu revenge story.
Yeah, and this week he's like, how do I beat this karate so powerful? How do I beat karate? And he asked his master before he died, how do I beat karate? And he's like, these two styles you can use to beat them. And he's like coming to like, oh, I know what I gotta do. So he starts training his.
That sounds like some
his
Ip
hands.
Man
I mean,
shit.
it's kung fu. It's all based off this shit. Ip Man, Kill Bill. They all stole from these kind of movies, you know.
Yeah.
So he trains, and eventually he gets his revenge, and it's a awesome movie.
Okay.
But it's like, I was at the preface. You have to go into it knowing it's a 1970s kung fu movie. You know what I mean? So like, if you think you're gonna see like the raid impacts of hits.
Oh yeah.
It's not. It's not Jackie Chan hits either. It's 1970. But it's a really good movie. I like a lot. It's not my favorite kung fu movie from this time, but it's one of the biggest ones, I would say, for influence. Okay. This Man from Hong Kong is probably really big. Obviously 36 Chambers of Shaolin's massive. Ape Hole Fighter. But this was what I wanted to watch because I watched Mortal Kombat. The same day I watched Mortal Kombat, I was like, this is a bad taste in my mouth. So I wanted to clean my palate of this shit martial arts and then watch it with a good movie. Because I realized, Zach, that people really like Mortal Kombat. And I realized...
Yeah, they do.
I realized that those people, at least in my like sphere of, I don't know, social media, don't know shit about fucking action movies. Or they don't watch them as primary enthusiasts.
Yeah, I think because I definitely had that discussion with the people at my work last week after our Mortal Kombat viewing, and I definitely was like, I could definitely tell like I was thinking a little bit more about the action than like they were. I also was thinking more about the writing than they were because I brought up, I mean, the big complaint I brought up to them was like, I mean, the Goro shit fucked me up so much. I hated that shit. And then I kept bringing up I don't even remember what the fuck they call them. Their power shit.
Arcana.
How that shit was so... Arcana. How that shit was so fucked because... I mean... The whole system's just fucked. They should just have powers. Like, why you gotta, like, unlock the hidden potential and all this other shit?
Yeah. But, I kept seeing people be like, 8 out of 10. And then I went to my guys on YouTube who I watch who are martial arts people, like fans,
Mm-hmm.
and all the reviews from those people were like, shit movie. Shit movie. Go on Reddit, martial arts Reddit, shit movie. And all the comments, yeah, terrible fucking movie. The
Yeah.
director came out and was like I think before it came out was like, I asked the cinematographer, the stunt coordinators, I wanted to film the best action sequences we put on film, and I think we did it. And I'm thinking to myself, shut the fuck up. You're gonna talk out your ass about these boring ass bland action sequences. So I had to clean.
I mean, the only ones that really even stood out were the Scorpion Sub-Zero
And that
fights.
even that was boring. It had really cool moments in it, like the ice wall. That's super cool. But
I think their first fight had
yes,
better choreography and moments in
absolutely.
it than their later
Absolutely.
fight for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason why you can sit there and say, oh well, the main character.
Well, the problem with their later fight is that you fucking have Cole Young's hanging around, and I don't give a fuck about him. I just want to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight.
Well, it's also like they're fighting on like two very small pieces of. The fight exists in this tiny little ring and then this tiny platform. It's like that's boring as shit.
Yeah.
It's boring as shit.
Yeah.
So to clean my palate, I wanted to watch a 50-year-old movie, and,
Okay.
and it did it. So, Chinese boxer, and then I read a comic book, independent comic book, the
Oh.
first volume of a book called Bigfoot Bill. And it's written and drawn by Doug.
You've been on a Sasquatch thing the past couple of weeks.
This was just happenstance. It's a book by Doug TenNapel, who I love, who is the co-creator of Earthworm Jim. And I've been
Oh fuck, dude.
I've been a big
Earthworm Jim.
Yeah.
I love that fucking.
I've been a big fan of Doug TenNapel for a long time. When I was in art school, he's a huge inspiration to me. Just love his style, and so
He's got a really solid.
he has a
style.
book called Bigfoot Bill. There's 2 volumes out. You had to get them through his Kickstarter or whatever, but it's about like cryptids, and they're kept in this like cryptoids prison. Like Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, like they're all sitting there in this prison. They don't know they're in a prison except for Poseidon and the Kraken, right? Who are sitting there because it's the guy who made Earthworm Jim, so it's goofy, but it's also like action packed. And Bill's there, and Bill like he was taken from his family. He doesn't know who his family is. They keep telling him he doesn't have a family, but he knows he does. He has memories of them, and Poseidon's trying to get out because he wants to go find this girl that he fell in love with who betrayed him, and he's slowly dying because people aren't remembering the gods and stuff like that. But there's an agent in this prison who is good friends of Bigfoot Bill because he helps him with girl advice, even though Bigfoot Bill's like he's a fucking dude, he's like a fucking Bigfoot guy. But eventually they break out of the prison, and the Kraken becomes part of Bigfoot Bill. Like it's like a costume. Like it jumps on him and becomes like a super suit. So he has control over the Kraken, and like he can do different cool like Spider-Man. Like he can like web sling and all this kind of stuff. So it's like it takes the idea of like these like monsters and creatures and like slams them together into this like urban fantasy kind of like goofy, funny story. It pretty much what it was is like this last 2 weeks I've been really into 90s comic books that were not 90s cartooning comic books. Which is like Sam and Max, which I haven't read in forever or played in forever. Which there's a comic book for Sam and Max, so I read that again. Earthworm Jim, he put out 2 books on Kickstarter. I missed both of them, so I can't buy them anymore. But I found the first one. And I paid too much money for it, so I have that. So now I got to find the second volume that just got shipped like last week, and people are trying to sell it. It was $30 on the Kickstarter. They're selling it for $200.
$200.
So and it's the origin story of Earthworm Jim. So I gotta find it. But so I've been reading a lot of that kind of stuff, and I wanted to buy Bigfoot Bill because he still had copies of it on his website. So I bought both volumes from him on his website, and they come like they're oversized, hard covered, like embossed. It's
Wow.
super nice packaging. So I
Okay.
was really happy with it. So Bigfoot
Nice.
Bill. Last two things I've been doing. Uh, you mentioned last week that you were watching The Circle. Uh,
I did. Yes.
and I didn't do that, but I did
I'm
mention a few
disappointed.
weeks ago that I was watching this Korean variety show called Men on a Mission, which is on Netflix.
I think you
I
did. You have to
so
remind
it's a
me.
Korean variety show where a bunch of like and variety shows to me are like I know what they are because I'm Asian. So my
Right.
mom watches them, the Filipino ones, all the fucking time, right? And then
Yeah.
also obviously grew up in Asia for a little bit, so I understand what they are. And also, like if you are any sort of in depth to J-pop or K-pop, you've probably seen a variety show on YouTube at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just never cared about them because I just don't care about K-pop. I don't care about J-pop or K-dramas or J-drama, whatever. I just never cared. But I saw this thing on Netflix called Men on a Mission like a year ago or whatever the fuck, year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And it was a bunch of dudes, like seven dudes, just like making jokes and riffing and like improv. And it was like slapstick and goofy. And
Okay.
they would have like pop stars come on the show and actors come on the show. And they would do like these little like, games and like interview questions with each other and all this kind of stuff. And like, I have no context for any of these people, right? Because I don't care about Korean anything. So like they bring on these
Right.
K-pop groups that the names are familiar to me because like, we have friends who like K-pop and I'm also on the internet.
You want to know his. Fuck. I don't know.
I mean, I know ones from 10 years ago.
Like it's like B5 or whatever, right? What's the new
I
one?
have no idea.
K5, B5, Bebop, B-bomb, 5-bomb. I don't
I
know.
mean, again, all the references I have for K-pop are from 2010 when I listened to it a little bit. And one
Yeah.
actually, and one of the guys on the show was in a group that I remember called Super Junior, which is like a really popular K-pop group. So like
Mm-hmm.
the group of guys is like there's like a couple singers from different bands or boy groups, like an older like 50-year-old guy who was in a rap group in the 90s, a former athlete who became a host, another host, a comedian. So they have different backgrounds and they all play off each other really well. And it's just fun, goofy, like slapsticky kind of Asian inspired comedy or Asian comedy, I guess. Um, and it's like no seriousness. It's like you turn it on and you just fucking like watch, right? And there's
Yeah.
like no stakes. Nothing happens. It's they just
Yeah.
talk to these fucking pop stars, these actors. They laugh, they make goofs, and that's the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch the next one, right? And Netflix, it's been on for like 5 years, I think, 6 years, and Netflix has most of the episodes. So there's like fucking like
Okay.
200 or some shit, or 150 or something, you know?
Jesus
So I'm
Christ.
not that far. But while I was watching that, I was looking at clips on YouTube, and I found another show, Korean variety show, that's also super
Okay.
popular, and it's called Running Man, right? And I was like, okay.
Does Arnold
I was like, all
Schwarzenegger
right, let
show
me
up?
see. And then I saw a clip on TikTok about the show. I was like, perfect. And it was really fun. The clip was really funny, right?
Already on
Yeah,
TikTok. There
it's
you
so
go.
super funny. I guess because one of the guys on the show is leaving, so this girl was like
Okay.
making TikTok about it, being like, "Oh my gosh, this guy." So I was like, okay, what's the premise of the show? So I Googled the premise, and it's about like it's a game show where there's a bunch of the hosts and they bring on guests, or whatever, a couple guests at a time, and they have like these challenges. Like where I just watched one where they get locked into like the national Korean like soccer stadium, and they have to like
Okay.
collect different like piggy banks of full of money, and they have two different teams. They have to run around the whole stadium and like find these different things and play games within the stadium and compete for stuff inside the stadium. to collect these
Okay.
like coins, and then eventually they move to the Olympic pool, and they have to like, all right, find the piggy banks in the pool. Like, where are they at in the actual swimming area? And then they play another game where they're like, okay, hey, for this much money for to your team,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna do a high dive competition. Like, we're gonna every dive you do, whatever that height is, we're gonna add it to your points. So there's 5 people
Okay.
per team, so that's 5 dives, right? So
Right.
if everyone just dives the 3.5 meters or however tall that feet that is, that's your score, right? But if someone goes 3.5, you have to go the next highest up, all the way up to the 10, the high, whatever the fucking high. You're a diver, Zach. You're a swimmer. Whatever the highest one is, 10 meters, whatever the fuck that is.
Probably 12 feet. 12 feet's pretty high.
So that's like the competition, like the game, right? There's other like quiz games and all this kind of stuff. They play a game where um, there's 2 people on the same team next to each other, and they're wearing headphones that are playing loud music so they can't hear anything. And
Mm-hmm.
one person sees a bunch of questions, and one person sees a bunch of answers, and they just have to read them off out loud and hope that they match. The question and the answer match. So it's been going on for 10 years. Eh,
What's it
it's called
called?
Running Man, and you can watch it on this um, Korean app website that's like funded by like the Korean TV stations called like Kokowa, and I'm on it. I made an account, 14 day free trial, just so I can watch this show. And
Okay.
there's so many episodes, like 500 episodes, right?
Damn,
So
dude.
and they just started uploading the old ones, like the first season, right? So they have like episode 260 up to current, but from
Mm-hmm.
1 to 260 they don't have up there yet. So they're just now weekly posting the original ones. Obviously,
Gotcha.
there's other
Okay.
ways to watch those original episodes, obviously, right? Because I
Clearly,
found that way as well.
you want to sail the high seas? That's
Yeah,
fine.
well, it's actually a streaming site that just has all of them. But
Oh, okay. Well,
again, the same premise. They have professional hosts, comedians, rappers, singers, and like I'm liking this show more than the other one, because the
okay.
other one's more of an interview based improv show. This show has a challenge every episode. Like the first episode, they were locked in the mall, and they had to like they can't leave the mall.
Okay.
They locked the gates, and you have to like go find. They give you hints and clues to go find certain things at different parts of the mall. You have to like rush there, and you have name tags on your back. And if you get your name tag pulled off of you by another opposing team member, you have to wait until that particular race is over, and you can't play anymore until the
Okay.
next one begins. So you have there's a timetable,
Oh.
there's a challenge. So I'm really enjoying it because it's just like, again, it's the same thing. Turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
There's no depth. It's just goofy bits and jokes, and there's funny people being funny, and so I've been really enjoying that.
Yeah, I get that 100%.
And that's been my whole week. Has been watching these 2 shows.
But what I mean, yeah, with 200 and 500 episodes respectively, that's going to take quite a bit of time for you to get
I
through.
don't know if I'm gonna finish, if I'm gonna catch up, but it's a
I
long. A lot of,
mean, hats off to you if you do, because that's a lot of shit to get through.
I was on Reddit and I saw someone posted a Reddit in the one of the K variety, whatever Korean variety subreddits, and I was like, "Hey, are you guys up to date on Running Man? How long did it take you guys to do it?" And this guy was like, guy or girl was like, "Yeah, I'm up to date. It took me 6 months. I watched like 15 a day or something like that." And
15 a
they're
day?
they're an hour and 20 minutes an episode.
So he just basically spent 6 months of his life
Yeah.
just watching.
And look, I get it, dude. Like, it's fun, right? Like
I mean, it's got to be if you're spending that much time. God damn.
obviously, it's such a visual show, so nothing that I can say is gonna make it sound funny. But there's one guy, the guy who left, is the guy that I would like, who made me want to watch the show. and he's like an actor or something, but he's so fucking funny. It's just so funny that like I saw a clip of him on the show. I was like, dude, this guy's fucking hilarious. So I watched more clips of him on YouTube. I was like, this dude's fucking super funny. So I want to watch it for him. And then 2 days later, he left the show, and I'm like, Jesus. Now I have 10 years of you know.
You have 10 years of him to go through.
Right, exactly. But the episode I was just talking about, the pool episode, where okay, it's him and some other guy, the last ones to go on the diving board, and the score is tied, so they have to they has to go high or else the other team can win. If they just go one up above them or whatever. So he goes up to the 7.5, like the second to the top, whatever feet that is, 8 feet or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes to the 10 feet for the top first, looks over, goes, no way. But he's like super awkward kind of acting, like super awkward comedy style. So he's like, I'm not sure. He goes down to the one below it, comes to the edge, and for like 5 minutes, they're like cutting away and they're adding, because they add text to the Koreans and Japanese shows. They add like narration text to it to like emphasize something. So the whole time the crews are yelling at him like to do it or don't do it or whatever. They're trying to get him to his team is trying to tell him to do it, that way they get the points. But the other team is telling him, no, go down lower, it's fine. You're gonna hurt yourself. Don't even try it. Your bones are weak. Just don't even do it.
Your bones are weak.
He's at the
You have a weak constitution.
He's like a 6'4" tall guy. He's like super lanky.
Yeah.
So he's at the second highest one. He like sitting there, and then he's looking at. There's a guy above him, who's on the higher diving board with the camera, like filming, and it keeps cutting back between the far wide shot of him like sitting there looking at the water, and then he'll turn and look up at the camera like he's trying to contemplate if I should do the higher one, and I cut to that guy's angle of him like looking up at him, and he does it for like 5 minutes. He keeps like looking at the water, looking back up at him like he's like constantly doing it, and then his teammate says, hey, you moving up to the higher one actually made the guy who's going to compete with you, and made him nervous, right? He's like he's looking at you like, please don't do it. And this guy that is like a super buff guy, so he's like, oh, the buff guy is now afraid of what I'm doing. So he's like okay, and he stops for a second, looks back up at the camera, and then he just jumps from there, right? So it's like it's super goofy visual like bits, it's all hard, it's all super like kiddie friendly because they don't cuss on Korean TV. Like it's like a big deal apparently. I don't know if it's a culture thing or what, but like they actively make fun of or they say, hey, don't know cussing, like they it's like a joke. They'll be like, oh, this girl, this pop star, she smokes, and people are like, oh no, don't say that, don't say she smokes. And it's new to me. I don't understand it, but
from what I understand, I don't understand too much, but I'm pretty sure Korean society is pretty conservative in that aspect.
It must be, because like it's in both shows I'm talking about, they do this, and
yeah,
like when we're done doing the podcast, and my girlfriend's asleep right now, I gotta be up in the morning to do the grass. I'm not going to bed. I'm gonna go pee and go to the living room and watch this fucking show. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna send you a couple clips on YouTube after the show, so you get what I'm talking about, and you can completely ignore them if you want. But I think that if you just wanted to,
no, I mean, I definitely look. I always at least give the clips that you send me a shot. Specifically, I'm talking about your TikToks, but I mean,
Aaron,
look, you're the one who got me onto British TV with was it Truth or Lie and an 8 out of 10 Cats.
Would I lie to you?
Yeah, Would I Lie to You?
Yeah.
So if you hadn't got me onto that, like I wouldn't even get
it is this
that wonderful joy in my life.
It's the same thing.
I mean, that's like, I love watching 8 out of 10 Cats, or what is it? Is it Bob? What's his name?
Bob Mortimer?
Bob Mortimer. God. His Would I Lie to Yous are like, first of all, he's just such an outrageous person in the first place. So, like, his Would I Lie to Yous are like some of the best shit.
See, it kills me because watching like British variety game panel shows. I love those so much, and then I watch like these Korean or Japanese variety shows because in Japan it's the same thing. They love variety shows, right? Like these like game variety shows. Eh,
It's surprising that it's something that really hasn't taken off in
they've
America.
tried. They've tried so hard
Yeah.
to do that here. Like they did an American version of Reggie Watts was the host of it. Fucking
Of 8 out of 10?
I don't know if it was, either it was that or it was
Or What I Lie to You?
it was one of those panel shows. I can't remember which one it was. No, maybe it was Taskmaster. Have you seen Taskmaster?
I've seen clips from Taskmaster.
Bro.
Taskmaster's pretty funny.
And they have it on YouTube too now. They have the first
The whole
they have,
episodes?
like the first like 5
I've seen
seasons.
specific clips where it's like I've watched Bob Mortimer's.
Yeah.
I've watched God, what's his name? He's the super sarcastic guy. He's got like the muffin top hair. The thing I remember him the most is he was on the 8 out of 10 Cast Countdown, and he brought in like a stuffed animal.
James
And talked about
Acaster.
how James Acaster, yeah, because he talked about how the mom used the stuffed
As a
animal as a
replacement for him,
replacement
yeah.
for him.
No, so
So I watched his Taskmaster. He's got some good reactions.
I think that I rewatched like the first 4 or 5 seasons are on YouTube, or at least they were because of COVID or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the full seasons, and yeah, it's like shows like that. I wish we had here, but I'm pretty sure Reggie Watts was the host of the American version of it, and it just failed completely.
Interesting.
And I don't know because shows like this one I'm talking about, Running Man, the Korean, it wouldn't succeed in the States because we don't have that kind of humor. You know,
I guess
like think
not.
about like the whole country would have to enjoy the kind of humor of like the Zuckers. Like, you know, not everyone loves Airplane. Not everybody loves Top Secret. Not everybody loves Naked Gun or Police Squad, you know? Or the same people who like Christmas Vacation or like not everyone loves that kind of comedy. We're so much of a stand-up focus. Even like improv is very not popular. Like it's like SNL and that's it, you know? Obviously, in the 90s, we had a bunch.
And SNL's not that fucking good.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. In the 90s, we had a bunch of stuff, but like now it's like the art of the improv TV show is gone. So like it's not like a panel show would really succeed. You know.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's always just so crazy though, because they succeed so much overseas, and people always talk about. I feel like at least people always talk about like the overseas variety shows with like. You know, the stuff in Japan and the stuff in Korea and the stuff in Britain, and it's just funny that like people talk about those shows all the time, but then you try to bring them over to the States, and it's just like I don't know. It's just
I think
not there.
I think what it is too is that because part of it is because those game shows and panel shows make comedians like more than just comedians. Like in the Korean stuff I'm seeing, like these comedians are not just they're hosts of shows. Like they host their own shows, but they're also comedians, right? But also I think the term comedian, like in Japan, from like watching that show Documental on Amazon, like I'm sure some of them are stand-ups, but some of them are not stand-ups. Some of them are comedians on variety shows who come on there and do character bits or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the States, when you say comedian, it's strictly, you know, a stand-up.
Yeah.
Whereas on these panel shows, like, you know, James Acaster, he's a stand-up, but like for me, I didn't see a stand-up until Netflix got his specials. I just knew that he was a comedian, but he was funny on these shows. So you see his personality expand. So then it's like a double what's it called? Advertisement. You go on these shows, you do stand-up, right? You get popular. They bring you on these shows. You show your personality type. Your shows get bigger. You go back on these other shows and do these things. Like there's a reason why we know Jimmy Carr because he did that. And then in the States we know Jimmy Carr because only from stand-up. You know, he did a fucking Comedy Central game show for a couple years when we were kids. But that's it.
Jimmy Carr like perfected the thing of like a comedian and also host.
Yes.
Because he did all that. Because he did 8 out of 10. He did Countdown. He did Quiz of the Year or whatever. Big Fat Quiz of the Year.
pretty sure
It's
that's what
like
it's
he's got like 3 or 4 things under his belt. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's all I've been up to, man.
Okay. Well, I think that would then bring us to our topic of the
Hold on.
week.
Can I take a quick pee break real fast?
Yeah, no, sure,
Give
that's
me a
fine.
quick sec.
What do I want to segue into? Okay, here's what I want to segue into because I haven't really talked about this fully on the show yet, but I do want to address that I've decided to try to use some of my more disposable income that I get in a set paycheck each month to try to get back into a trading card game. Specifically, I've decided that for some reason my brain has decided that it wants to waste its life and its money trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh. So your boy Zach has gotten back into the TCG Yu-Gi-Oh. I only have one deck so far. I remember the last time I got into it was around 2016 or 2015 around then with Jason and the guys. I was playing an Zector deck then. I've now bought a Witchcrafter deck, so that's kind of the one I'm looking on. I'm also trying to build it's like a kaiju stun lock deck that I want to try building because I fucking love the kaiju designs in Yu-Gi-Oh so much. I think they look so fucking rad. But that's like the big thing that I'm trying to get into right now. I don't know. We'll see if I can actually like find the locals to actually use my deck. I still haven't like really jumped online yet. I did my account for Dueling Books. I just haven't actually taken the time to like create a deck because I already had the YGO Pro, and I created a deck in there. It's like, okay, well I already did that one. Do I really want to like go again and like make another one? So it's just like me like getting off my lazy ass and actually fucking doing it to like start dueling online.
Right. I get that.
But yes, Yu-Gi-Oh's back in Zach's life because for some reason my brain and my YouTube channel decided that, or my YouTube page decided that I wanted to watch deck profiles. So.
I get you, man. To me, a few months back, I remember texting you being like, "Man, I want to play Magic," because random.
I still have. I mean, Magic's fun. I always find Yu-Gi-Oh funner though.
Yeah,
Because Magic is
I would
like,
agree.
I don't know.
Because you like anime.
No, because I feel like Magic is so much more passive. Like, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh is much more like. I mean, the whole thing of Yu-Gi-Oh of being able to like target other creatures, other monsters that creatures control or whatnot. I feel like it's much more like a controlling, like you're in control of like what you're doing and you can like stop what your opponent's doing. Magic is much more passive.
Well, I
Like
mean, Yu-Gi-Oh is
Magic
the
is
only
like
card
if
game.
it's your opponent's turn, your opponent can do whatever the fuck they want. You can't do anything about it. When it's your turn, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Your opponent can't
Well, no,
do anything
Yu-Gi-Oh
about
is
it.
the only game I can think of that does that. That has that.
Yeah, I guess so, but I like that give and take aspect to
Well,
it.
no, I love that.
It keeps the game interesting for me.
I love that, but also let's not
I mean, I am also a fucking
let's not
big
pretend
anime
like
weeb waifu lover, but
yeah, let's not pretend like the themes that the Yu-Gi-Oh has is not also like I love
look,
that
I
stuff.
grew up and I wanted to be Seto Kaiba, and it's fine.
I nah nah
You don't want to be Yugi?
no. What girl?
You don't want that crazy ass
What
hair?
girls does he get?
Look, it's fine. I know you want to be Joey. It's
No,
fine.
no. I
Everybody
hated
wants
his
to be Joey.
deck.
Why you want? Well, his deck
There was
sucks.
no one
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh I wanted to be. I like Dark Magician, but that card sucks.
Yeah, attack wise.
No, in general,
sure.
2 sacrifice, 2,500. What's the defense? 1,200 defense or 1,500 defense?
It's 2,000.
2,000 defense.
Yeah, 2,000 defense.
So 1,200 attack, 2,000 defense.
They've given a lot of support for Dark Magician. They got some good Dark Magician deck
yeah,
profiles out there.
yeah.
They've given a lot of support for him with Dark Magician Girl. They've got a whole fusion card based around like him and Dark Magician Girl,
Ew.
and giving a lot of like spellcaster support.
Yeah, okay, but for I don't know, for 20 years.
I've watched a lot of that. Look, Blue Eyes obviously has more
Yes.
shit. There's so much more better like Blue Eyes deck profiles.
For
But
20 years, that card trash.
Look, honestly, I've been looking at it, and I kind of want to make a Summon Skull deck, because that's like the original Yugi deck. Is like his boss monster was the Summon Skull, which is basically Dark Magician and attack power, but that was the one that had 1200 defense.
There's also only one tribute.
Which is better.
Insane.
Yeah, one tribute for a 2500 beat stick, and then you've got the Archfiend deck, which is all based around Archfiend and Summon Skull deck, which is I've been reading some of those effects. I was like, some of this shit's fucking crazy, dude. What you can do with Archfiends.
Do you remember graveyards were this is
Well, that's the whole
this
meta
is-
right now. Is still like graveyard play for sure. It's graveyard play, and it's like the big stuff from what I've seen in like deck profiles and like watching a bunch of videos is like the big stuff right now is like graveyard plays for sure, like dumping monsters and like using Pot of Extravagance to like dump your extra monsters into your graveyard and being able to like special some you dump your monsters into your extra monsters in the graveyard for draw power, and then you basically like recycle them back to be able to summon them back onto the field. I don't know. Shit's fucking bananas. I don't know. I mean, even since the last time we played, they added like this whole link monster shit, and I'm still trying to like understand what the fuck that shit is. It's like they're monsters that don't have levels and they don't have defense points. They can only be in attack mode, and they're also can only be summoned by tributing monsters that have effects.
Yeah.
And then you can also use other links monsters to tribute for different link monsters. So depending on what the link number is on the card, is how much material that is for a different link monster. I don't know. That's just like I'm still trying to wrap my head around
I
that.
can't
That's
imagine.
That's more confusing than Exceed summons.
I just can't imagine being the person that. This is not like a negative thing. I just don't.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not that. To be the person who has never stopped playing.
I don't understand people who like never like Team Samurai, like that guy who's like clearly never stopped playing since he was like since like the starter decks came out for like Seto Kaiba and Yugi. Like he's been playing for that long. I don't understand that.
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, I love the game.
The game has changed so much. Like it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I love the game and everything, and I would love to play, but there's no reason for me to buy a deck. I'm not gonna go to locals.
Yes. Dude, I want to go to locals so bad, dude.
I'm not gonna do it.
I watched some guy go to locals. He had a whole 30-minute profile with him and his hot ass girlfriend who went to locals. And he played the deck that I want to play, which is a kaiju deck based around Grand Maju. So it's like a kaiju deck with like a banishing subtype. And so it's like you play the kaijus to get rid of any boss monsters that your opponent has, because you can play the kaijus, and the kaijus you contribute summon onto your opponent's field. So it basically like pops whatever boss monster they have, and then on top of that, you're popping your opponent's field and your own field and getting that into the banish zone, so that way you can pop a Gren Maju on the field that's like 10,000 attack points because you have like, you know, an innumerable amount of cards in the graveyard.
Right.
Or in the banish zone.
No, see, I have no idea what that card is.
I remember what it is because I feel like it came in some deck. I feel like my brother got a structure deck that was based around banishing cards to the graveyard, or banishing cards as well. And it had that card in it. But it's like a card where it's like, it gets like, it's like 300 or 500 attack points for like each card that's removed from play. So
I remember like my most recent memory. I mean, I played a lot in high school, but was like, oh shit, Black Rose, okay.
Synchro Summons and Exceeds was like the last time I
dump your
played.
whole field, okay, great, all right. Stardust, okay, okay, cool. Archfiend, okay.
Well, now it's like the complete way that Extra Zone monsters is like completely changed, because now they only have one extra monster zone, so you can't just like summon a bunch of synchro monsters like out of hand. You have to like use link monsters. So you summon a link monster, and then it has like arrows on the card that point to certain zones on the field, and whatever zones it points to, that's where you can summon like different extra zone monsters. So there's like a weird restriction behind it now,
That sounds
as well.
way.
It's super complicated. Like I'm still like
I'm
I
not
don't know.
I'm
It's
not
still
playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I'll go play Magic where the game's still the same.
Yeah, I think that's the weirdest thing is that Yu-Gi-Oh has changed so much compared to like other games. Like the amount of like different archetypes and like rule changes that they've had over the years is pretty crazy.
The one thing that I still want to play Warhammer, but how the fuck do I play that? You know, where the fuck do there's a store? I mean, there's a store here.
I don't know how the fuck you buy a whole entire model set.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
play
there's a
Warhammer.
store here and I could go play theoretically, but I'm not gonna go drop that much money to go.
Is that Green Dragon?
No, there's a actual Warhammer store in Mount Pleasant.
Is there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's an actual Warhammer store over there. But I'm not gonna go spend all that money just to get wrecked.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, so
What would be the army that you would play?
I don't know, dude. Some Space Marines. I don't fucking know.
I can't remember. The last time I looked, I feel like there was one that was like Psychotron or something like that. It was
Necros
like
or something I play. I don't know.
maybe it was like Egyptian boss monsters or something like that. That looked fucking dope. It was like Egyptian mummy zombies.
Yeah, I've been
something
reading.
like
I've been reading the books every now and then, but that's just because I like the lore.
I remember it was like a year ago when we were talking about it, and I kept watching a bunch of lore videos and like figuring a bunch of stuff about Warhammer, and then I never played it, and
It's
I
fucking
forgot all of
impossible.
the lore.
How are we gonna play? You know,
Yeah.
you really have to like live in the same fucking vicinity or whatever your friends to play.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go to locals. There's a bunch of sweaty motherfuckers, literal sweaty motherfuckers who are like, you know, you don't know the rules of the game. Yeah, shut up. Shut up. I remember I went to locals for Magic one time. My buddy played, so I went with him. And I remember being there like, oh, bro. It's like the anime nerd that goes to the conventions but makes fun of anime nerds. It's like yeah, I like anime, but you like anime way more than me. You know, it's the same. It's the same kind of premise, which is like stupid, but at the same time, we're like, dudes were getting mad at people who were like misplaying. Like, thankfully, Magic's not like Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's a whole timing. You know, what I mean? Like that. Yu-Gi-Oh's fucking hard, man. Like Yu-Gi-Oh's not easy. Like I remember telling our friends.
No, it's super fucking.
I remember telling our friends when we talk about Pokemon, I'm like, this game is so fucking. This is literally, obviously, it's for children. I know that, but being like, this game is for fucking idiots, right? Like Yu-Gi-Oh, you can play. It's never not your turn, if you play your deck that way.
If you play the right cards, you can basically play an entire turn doing your opponent's main phase.
Like, but then you start adding in like, okay, when you can't play that card because it's it's end phase. Okay, well, why not? Because timing of this affects this time. It's like, dude, it's just fucking math.
You can't play this card right here because you have to finish your special summons.
But then if you play
to get your board set up, so you have to wait to play this card until after your board set up.
When does a quick spell take place? When does that effect go versus a normal speed spell?
You want to use a union monster? Oh, so you want to use it as a equip card, or you want to special summon back on the field so you can use it as a normal monster?
It's like, okay, once they start adding in these fucking icons on the card, like, dude, what spell speed? The fact that you have a fucking term for it, like, Jesus, dude, at the fucking.
I still don't understand spell speed. That shit makes no fucking sense to me. All I know is that quick play card, you want a quick effect. That's all you want.
But even then, it's like, when does that actually? I don't know. I haven't played in so long, but. Zach, I had to pee before while you're saying it, but
it's true.
What is the topic for the podcast this week?
Our topic this week is in 1992. I'm gonna say cult classic. Childhood wonderment, nostalgia driven, Three Ninjas.
I hate this movie. No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, don't lie to me. Don't lie to my
I have seen this movie. I can't even count.
I don't think I've seen this one a bunch. I feel like I've seen Mega Mountain a bunch.
No, this is the one that my parents got me first. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. It's impossible. I couldn't even guess. You know how many times I've seen this tape. Yeah. I had it my whole life. This movie makes me so mad that it's not on a fucking nice ass Blu-ray.
It would be
Like,
nice on
why the
Blu-ray for
fuck
sure.
has the company, a boutique Blu-ray company, have not put all 4 of them on a sweet Blu-ray set? Like, come the fuck on, dude.
That'd be a pretty
Like,
sweet Blu-ray set.
seriously. They
Like, you don't have to watch 2, but you mean you get 1, 3,
they
and
can
4?
put out Rad on Blu-ray and 4K this past year and a half.
Yeah.
We can't get fucking Surf Ninjas or Three Ninjas. It makes me so infuriated. You know, because my whole childhood, and I learned this on the podcast. It wasn't like I knew this going in. I learned this on the podcast because I was talking to you about it. Like, we were talking about what we liked as a kid, and I pretty much just learned that I like ninjas. That's like pretty much, I love TMNT. I love Three Ninjas. I love Surf Ninjas. But oh, okay. Well, clearly the through line here, I like fucking
Clearly,
I
there's
like
a pattern.
fucking ninjas. Right. So this movie, I watched it again for the podcast, but I didn't even need to do that. I can tell you every scene and what I like about every scene. Right? I know the movie that well. It's ingrained in my fucking brain for how amazing and how fucking 1992 this movie is.
Super 90s. And well, it feels super 90s and super 80s at the same time. Mostly the 80s stuff is the 3 dumb fucks who are basically Bill and Ted impressions.
Yeah. Yeah, or Wayne's World.
And I also thought that was super weird that I was like, okay, are they poking fun at Bill and
No,
Ted?
they're just surfer dudes.
I
They're
guess.
just surfer rock dudes who are stoners.
But they also look like Bill and Ted.
Well, so
kind
Zach,
of.
when's the last time you said this was not your main ninja movie? You said
No.
High Noon Mega Mountain was. Do you remember?
Yeah, Mega Mountain. I feel like I watched way more
So
than this one.
do you have a connection to this first movie at all besides just having seen it before?
Not really.
So how did you feel? Because you know how I feel about this movie because I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
How did you feel watching it?
No, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think the most surprising thing for me was well, first of all, I like the kids. I think the kids are the great in this. I think they've got a really good characterization. I think plotting wise for the movie, I like each of their arcs. Yeah. Rocky's a little bitch though. Like, why the fuck? First of all, why the fuck you giving them 9 points when your bikes are on the line? Also, your grandfather just told you a day ago, don't be overconfident, you little fuck. Yeah. Don't be overconfident. Don't give them 9 points. Because if you hadn't given them 9 points, the one basket that they fucking stole wouldn't have mattered. Mm-hmm. But I get it. Gotta plot the movie. You gotta be like, as a character, I shouldn't be overconfident. Even though I know I shouldn't be overconfident because my grandpa told me not to be overconfident. But I have to learn for myself because I'm a kid.
Right. So. Well, I mean, it's the Raphael Leonardo. You know, like.
It's weird though because it feels like they're both at the same time Raphael's and Leonardo's to each other.
Yeah.
Because they both have they both kind of take on the mentor role. I guess Rocky fits more into the mentor role.
Well, he's the older brother.
They both have Raphael moments where they both get like hot-headed and like overconfident and like get too far above their skis of like what exactly is going on right now. I mean, clearly Colt is the one that like jumps to conclusions faster than anybody else.
The whole basketball scene really feels like a Colt problem. Like him wanting to fight at the time, he was like, okay, I get that. You want to fight them because they're pieces of shit. They're fouling you. But the whole problem at hand really seems like it should have been a Colt problem, not a Rocky problem. Even though we know Rocky's trying to like impress Emily and impress the crowd, whatever. We know that. So he's.
But also, it doesn't make sense because he's like trying to impress her, and she's like, "Stop showing off! Like, stop being a fucking cocky asshole.
Stop showing off."
Yeah, but let's stop being a show off.
Yeah.
Like, stop. It's not helping you. It doesn't make me like you more. I like you enough as it is. Yeah. Stop being a cocky bitch.
So, you enjoyed the movie.
I did. I enjoyed the grandpa
what stood out to you the most? Is there a particular scene that you really like after you finished it that really stood out to you?
I think
because the correct answer is the whole house sequence.
I was about to say, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, the house sequence is obviously the best, and it's where they spend the most time. But there's a lot of stuff that stands out to me. I mean, I enjoy their training in the beginning. The stuff with the dummy is great for the payoff later on with the big man. I enjoy a lot of stuff with them on the ship too. I think the biggest thing for me is that specifically going into a movie like this, titled Three Ninjas, not Three Ninjas and the Grandpa, you would think that the final battle scene would be the three kids facing off against
Schneider.
the fucking mastermind villain. Schneider!
I
You
fucking
would think
love
that would be the main final battle, but it's like, nah, it's Grandpa's fight. And I appreciate them going for that aspect of like, these kids aren't like fucking like superhero beings. Where like, no, they're not gonna take down a full grown man who knows karate. It's clearly,
just a bunch of ninjas who do know karate.
yeah. Clearly the guys who like clearly don't know what they're doing. They can take them down, but they're not gonna take the guy who like actually knows
the
what
guy
the fuck
trained by Grandpa.
Yeah. So it makes sense that like Grandpa has to take him down. But it was so weird because you would expect that in a typical movie that it doesn't matter. They would just have the three kids do it because it's three ninjas and they're the stars.
Well, the whole point of the movie is that they made it because they wanted it's even tagline Home Alone with Ninjas, right? So
well, that's the whole house sequence.
Kevin,
it's basically Home Alone,
McAllister
but with ninjas.
beats everyone, so you would expect that the ninjas would beat Schneider, but it's like no, it's.
I mean, look, the far and away the best scene in the house sequence is when they make them have diarrhea. So,
yes, that's the best. But I want to pause you there real quick. When that scene when you first see Schneider at the fake like drop off sting operation.
Yeah. With a guy who's pretending to be an Arab but is totally a white dude.
That scene is so ingrained in my mind. But Schneider's quick, awesome one-liner on the roof with the kid's dad, where he's like,
"I've got to fly,"
jumps off the fucking on the rope. How fucking 90s is that? That's so fucking awesome.
So fucking badass, dude. Honestly, I was like, that's a good one-liner. If you know the helicopter behind you, hell yeah,
also,
dude.
How did the dad not hear it either? You know, it's loud as shit.
If this movie taught me anything, it's that their dad's a fucking idiot.
So my two favorite scenes in the movie, I have a lot of favorite scenes. This whole movie is my favorite, right? I love every scene with the three guys. I love the opening scene with them in the gas station, or the convenience store scene. I think that is.
I honestly thought it was going to be the thing where it was like, I thought the thing was that the henchman was going to call them, and they were just going to be like normal dudes, and he was going to like rope them into being bad guys. And then the whole scene is like, nah, they're like bank robbers. It's fine. Like they're robbers. They do armed robbery. They like steal all the stuff from this guy's store. Like it's fine.
Yeah. And he puts the gun in the guy's face. You know, and then in the background he's like, yeah, get these things, man. I fucking.
Hey, go get the nachos with the green sauce, man.
Yeah.
And then you got the fucking Hulk dude. You got the fucking. I think he's mentally retarded. He just says dude the whole time.
Whoa.
Dude.
And then
what?
So that, and then when they hit the cop, when the kids are biking. So when the kids are biking to school, and they're on top of the dirt mounds, and they're riding the bikes and jumping, and then the three guys are in the van, they're watching them be like, "Whoa, radical!" Right? They're watching them falling, and then they hit the cop. They rear end the cop, and then you hear one of the kids drive by and goes, "Oh, bummer, dude." And then they're like, dude. "Shut up!" There's so much about the movie that I love.
Their names are pretty sick too. Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum.
Yeah.
Tum Tum is.
Those are their ninja names. And
let's be real. The ninja names are the only names they need, dude.
As someone who is, as a kid, I didn't care, right? But rewatching it as someone who's understanding of my brown tannish skin, you know, who happens to be also Asian American, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't care about this. It's just something that I noticed. Yo, these kids white as shit.
Oh, they're definitely
their mom,
and that was the thing.
White
was
as
like,
shit.
Because you look at their grandpa. Like, okay, grandpa definitely Asian. His wife definitely white. The daughter doesn't look a bit Asian,
very much.
Just looks straight up white. And then she married a white man, so it's like the kids are just straight up white.
So you factor that in, and then so my favorite scenes, right? Even though they're all so fantastic, it's
Yeah.
bedroom scene. Rocky loves Emily. How the fuck is Rocky talking to Emily? Because that fucking thing is not connected
That
to.
shit is not long enough.
It's not connected. No, if you go back and watch the scene, the thing he's talking.
It's not connected.
There's no cable. It's just a fucking thing.
Look, it's the first cell phone, man.
So I love that scene because it's also really funny, and the chemistry is really good. They're bouncing on a thing, playing Super Nintendo, and they're like, "What?"
I mean, the chemistry between all three of the brothers is
fantastic. And was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "No, this is my stupid fucking brothers," right? So that's really funny. And then my other favorite scene, it's quick, right? It's when right after they get kidnapped or whatever. And then the FBI is.
Oh, when the dude pretends to have a call for the guard, and then he's like, "Oh, it's for you."
No.
That shit made me like. I was like, "What the fuck are these?" Clearly, this guy is training fucking morons. Because first of all, that whole scene is like, okay, so he calls the phone. He's like, "I need you to call me back." That guy is standing outside the door. So by the logic of the scene, when Rocky comes later on, is like, "The call's for you." He can hear him through the door. How the fuck did he not hear that the call? He like asked the guy to call him back. That shit is stupid.
No,
I love it, but it's stupid.
The scene where right after they leave the house, and the mom gets there, and she's like freaking out, and they took our boys. They took our boys. And then what's his dad's name again? I can't remember the dad's name. Is it Mitchell? I don't fucking remember his name. Whatever. So he's like the white dad.
But Grandpa shows up.
And it cut. Like Japanese music plays, and you see the fucking shadow of him
Backlit with
fucking
the fog, and the grandpa shows
ninja
up.
suit with the fucking sword, and all the fucking cops and FBI agents are like, pull the guns out,
motherfucker.
And he walks up in the fucking ninja suit, and he goes, "Hold on, stand down. That's my father-in-law."
It's my father.
Could you imagine a fucking ninja shows up to your FBI kidnap scene, and you're like, "Hold on, guys." He's with me.
Hold on. He's my father-in-law. I'm related to
He's
him.
with me. This is family business. So I love that scene because it's so fucking. And the music cue is so fucking good.
It's so good.
Basketball scene is amazing. But I do want to say this, right? The fashion sense in this movie.
Honestly, dude, it's pretty on point for me.
So good.
It's so good.
The fact that I was watching this movie.
I love their ninja outfits, the robes they've got, the color coordination.
Just their regular fucking clothes. As a kid, I didn't care, right? Because that fashion was around her still as a kid, and it was dying out slowly. Obviously, by the time that I was watching this actively, the fashion was dying out, but it was still there. But as a 28-year-old man, having seen this movie twice in the last year, I was so jealous of these kids' fucking fashion. Like now, wishing I had those clothes now. I wish I had Rocky's outfit from school now. Like, why the fuck can't I have that shit? Like, it looks so fucking good.
His outfit's pretty dope,
so you factor that in. They look cool. The chemistry's good.
Yeah.
All the adults are usual kids movie adults. They're all fucking stupid.
Yeah, they're all pretty fucking dumb except for Snyder.
Except for Grandpa and Snyder.
And Grandpa and Snyder.
But the house sequence is the diarrhea stuff.
Diarrhea stuff's great. I love all the stuff with Colt in the renovated room, where he like spray paints his mask white, turns his coat inside out so he blends in, and fucking like just pranks. Yeah. Basically becomes Ashton Kutcher and just pranks.
I like the marbles and the stairs.
Marbles and stairs is great. Oh, jelly beans.
Followed by attack CDs, where they just
attack
throw
CDs
at them.
Great. And then you have Colt just beating the shit out of two grown-ass men.
And then they go get the drink. They're like, man, they're fucking thirsty after.
And then they get
pepper bombed.
They get pepper bombed.
Oh no! Ooh! He like fucking he like tempts them with the fucking big gulps, and then they slam him, and then.
Ooh, it's so good.
And then the Asian-looking guy taking that massive Duke. Colt kicks in the door.
Not the stomach, not
And
the
he's
stomach.
like, oh man, it stinks in here, man. So fucking good. Like as a kid, like there's nothing. As a kid, all I thought was, man, these guys are so fucking cool. Like these kids are so fucking sweet, dude. Like why the fuck am I so lame?
So dope, man.
I love everything about this movie. I can't wait to. I'll get there in a second. But is there any negatives about this movie that through adult eyes, maybe you notice more than as if you were a kid? Because for me, it's so hard because I'm so nostalgic feel for this movie that's hard for me to find negatives.
I mean, other than like there's like some times that there's like some sloppy writing for certain points, like the thing I talked about earlier when they like get out of their holding cell is like kind of eh. But then you follow it up with like them all making nunchucks out of like dope ass shit, and I'm like, how can I be mad at this? Like, fucking Colt makes nunchucks out of like PVC pipe and wire. Fucking Rocky makes it out of 2 pairs of fucking wrenches, and then fucking Tum Tum makes it out of a fucking giant chain. Like, I can be mad at that shit, dude. That shit's fucking
The guy
dope.
with the sword and the paint face.
And then yeah, they basically humiliate this man who thinks like he's the murderous fucking badass with the sword, and they basically pants him. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's hard for me to separate the negatives from this movie because I love it so much. But I think the last
It's such a fun
last
movie.
act to me is definitely the weakest. I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think basically once it gets down to like Grandpa and Snyder, it's kind of like, I mean, it's like it's not bad, but it's not as fun as with the kids.
Definitely.
So I think that definitely detracts from it. Also, those bullies are fucking stupid, dude.
Yeah.
First of all, you barely won that basketball game, and then you're gonna try to come and fucking start more shit
When
they're already done taking anybody's shit because they basically saw their grandpa almost die. Fuck
I
off.
can't remember the.
Of course they're gonna beat.
I can't remember the black kid's exact line, but where he's like, some.
I don't know, but he's wearing a Biggie Small shirt, and I was like, "You're disrespecting Biggie Smalls right now."
The music during the basketball scene, bro,
Ooh, that's good stuff.
It's ingrained in my head. I will forget about it I couldn't even tell you what it is right now, but the moment that scene starts, I'm like, oh my, this fucking wave of emotions hits me, and I'm like, dude, I remember watching this scene all summer long as a child. Just fucking watching it. Our movie's over. Take it out, watch, kick back, finish kick back, take that out, watch this one. All right, here we go. Yeah. Surf Ninjas, boom. TMNT 2, boom, right? I love this movie. I think this movie's amazing. And objectively, it's a shit movie. Objectively, it's a shit movie. It's not a well-made movie in terms of like...
I don't know. I think it's pretty well...
It's a kid's movie, and that means that automatically changes your... perspective, right? It's like a brink. But for me, it succeeds really well at the idea of, okay, you give me the rules. The rules are these are 3 kid ninjas. Okay, you succeed in all those points. They're creative, they're adapting, they're learning, they're doing cool kicks. The bad guys are taking some bumps. Like those stuntmen on the stairs are falling hard on those fucking stairs. You know?
Yeah.
So it's believable. The bad guys are not super smart geniuses. They're goofball metal punk rock kids, stoner guys who surf. Yeah. So it makes sense for them to get beat up, right?
Are they surfers or are they skateboarders?
They never really show anything. I know they're rockers.
Yeah, well they post them.
But they're also reading a surf magazine, aren't they?
That's true. They are. Because they totally talk about how they would shred it, and then they do the poster girl shit where you think it's a naked lady, and it turns out to be a surfboard,
which is an amazing scene. That lead guy who plays the boss of the dummies, he is so good in this movie.
He's great.
He is so good in this movie, and most of the movies have like the 3 henchmen. Like they do the 3 henchmen in Kickback 2, and it's not as good. Like they're good. Like they're good. Like they're funny, But this lead guy is so good in this movie. Like it's like I kind of want him, like Wayne's World. I want him in a different movie.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that would be really cool. It would never happen, but Three Ninjas sequel to this, where it's like they're adults. Don't cast the same people, obviously. Cast different people, but they're adults,
Right.
and it's like Schneider's kid wants revenge for his or her dad being in jail. And it's like a Cobra Kai, but more like they're full-fledged ninjas now.
That'd be
Like
pretty
ninja
dope.
assassin kind of shit. Like they're actually ninjas. Like it's like fucking like an action
Yeah.
movie. It would obviously never
Mhm.
ever happen, but like it would be fucking. I think it would be super sweet. Colt is straight
I'm
straight up
pretty-
Raphael style. He's out there fucking just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
Rocky's in school trying to be Gohan. You know what I mean? He's
And then Tum Tum is just
just
Michelangelo.
he's a party dude. Um,
Yeah.
So, Zach, any final thoughts on Three Ninjas, dude?
Just a really fun movie. I had so much fun watching it.
I agree, man. It's a great movie. And now I have to ask you the hard question.
Tell me.
Where do we go next? Because there's two routes. There's the route of chronologically in terms of filming, and then there's the route and chronological of released date.
What is the method you would prefer?
Okay, I'll put it this way. You can kind of inference from my response.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen Three Ninjas and Three Ninjas Kickback in High Noon. But I can tell you exactly how many times I've seen Knuckleback. Or Knuckle
Okay,
Up.
Knuckleback's the second.
Excuse me, Knuckle Up.
Knuckle Up is the second one. Okay. Honestly, is that bad? Because I know it's recast kids.
No.
I just wanna skip
Knuckle
it.
Up is the same kids.
Oh, Knuckle Up's the same
Kickback
kids.
is, I believe, only one who's recast is Rocky.
Okay.
But you will watch the movie Kickback.
Is High Noon all the same
High Noon's
kids?
a whole new cast.
Okay.
I believe so. But you'll see Kickback whenever we get to it, and you will see a clearly there's an age, there's a time. It's not even that big of an age gap between filming. It's just these kids got older, and you'll see like
Yeah.
Tum Tum and Colt look like they're a couple years older. But if you look at the footage of Knuckle Up or whatever it's called, it's like you can tell they're in the same like. This probably filmed very very recently after the first movie.
Yeah.
Knuckle Up is all about. I think the boys are trying to like save a Native American reservation or something like that. It's like very much like they're like an old town or something, and they're trying to like help save it from like this like shitty ass like
Evil
evil
businessman.
businessman style. Here, I'll read the premise right now. I'll pull it up. Knuckle Up. This is a prequel to Three Ninjas Kickback, but I don't know if that's true or not. Okay, here we go. Where am I at? Okay, it was filmed the same year as the first movie, 92, but not released until 1995. There's no synopsis, just the full plot on Wikipedia. Okay, either way, it's like basically like they go into the town and try to help this town from having a problem.
Okay.
Whereas Three Ninjas Kick Back, 1994, it is about the three boys go to Japan.
Ooh. Yes.
Automatically.
Sensei.
Rad. They go to Japan, and there's like a tournament they have to fight. They're gonna fight in like a traditional like
a kumite?
yeah, I guess it's karate technically, yeah, but ninjutsu tournament. They meet a Japanese girl. She helps them out. It's pretty rad.
Is she hotter than Elizabeth?
I mean, I'm 28, so I don't want to comment. I mean, it's kind of gross. As a kid, I'll tell you that I didn't think either of the girls were cute because I was fucking like a kid. I was like super a kid. It would take me another year or two to see, 3 years to see Phantom Menace before I realized I liked girls. You know.
I do know that Natalie Portman awakened
Yeah,
that in
she,
you.
her
So.
or Lolo Bunny.
What happened to Pamela Anderson Anonymous? Or no, Jessica Alba Anonymous.
Oh,
J.A.
that was like years later. Like that's like middle school.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
I thought you were talking about Pamela Anderson's show VIP. Did you ever watch that show? VIP with Pamela Anderson.
Mm.
I think it's called VIP. It's a trash show. I'm gonna search it up real fast. Actually, Pamela.
Hold on. So now I'm trying to. So which one's next chronologically? Is that Knuckle Up or is that?
Chronologically, it depends which way you're going because there's no universe. I think. So
What is Three Ninjas 2?
there isn't one.
There isn't one?
Are you going by in terms of what was filmed or in terms of what was released?
Well, I guess technically it would be in release.
Then it's Kickback.
Okay.
Kickback. But to answer your question, they're both number 2. It depends on your criteria.
See, that shit's fucking confusing.
It depends on your criteria. So.
But we all know that High Noon at Mega Mountain is after both of those.
1999 or whatever the fuck.
Okay.
Right? Whatever the year that was, 99 or some shit.
Well, fuck it. Let's go with release order.
Okay, perfect. This is my. If Three Ninjas 1 is right here, Kickback is like there's way less memorable lines, but it's it's a good movie. I think you'll enjoy it. Have you never seen it before, right?
Not that I remember.
Okay. This is not Home Alone with ninjas, really.
Okay.
This is like we're ninjas.
We're ninjas?
And there's still Home Alone-y like goofs, but it's not the main focus.
There isn't a giant set piece that takes place in a house, though.
No. There's a house sequence, but I don't think it's massive. I don't think so.
It's not massive like the first one.
No, I don't believe so.
I mean, that's like 20, 25, 30 minutes that takes place in that house.
Right. Oh my gosh. There's when did this come out? Sorry. I just saw Brian Pillman, Vice posted the new episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Brian Pillman. I don't know if it's new. I can't remember if this is old or not. I think this is brand new because I don't remember watching this. I'll have to watch this after this is over. After the podcast is over, sorry. Yeah, we'll watch Kickback. So,
all right, Kickback.
Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back next week with more License to View and some more Three Ninjas.
Yes.